Hello, Medipreneurs. We are thrilled to be here with Bruce Berger, and he is going to be offering a very unique additional option when you come to Medipreneurs. On Friday afternoon from 2 to 5, he's going to be talking about motivational interviewing, but in a way that is uniquely his, that really works, and is probably different than what you learned in school. So, Bruce, tell us more.
Well, after teaching motivational interviewing for probably 25 years, and I've taught it a total of 35 now,
Wow.
we changed the approach. We found that all the acronyms that people used to learn, that either if they could even remember the acronym, then they had a hard time remember what the letters stood for, and then they had a hard time knowing if they remembered the letter when to use it.
Yeah.
So we went to a sense-making approach that really has people focus on how is this patient making sense of three things: their illness, its treatment, and their relationship with the healthcare professional. And we've actually tested the approach and had just tremendous results with it. And the really exciting thing is that it's really developed based upon a time-limited environment, which of course most healthcare professionals work in.
Yeah. Fantastic. So this is an optional workshop, and anybody that's registered for Medipreneurs should have received a letter that tells them how to get half off, so that it's very affordable. But give us a little bit more information. Why would somebody come in just a little bit earlier in the day and make sure that they prioritize coming to your workshop?
Well, the workshop is 3 hours long, and we're really we're gonna do two things. We're really gonna get into the fundamentals of our approach to motivational interviewing with tons of examples. Examples they've all heard of before. The patient with high blood pressure who doesn't understand why they need to take their medicine because they feel fine, or the patient whose cholesterol is elevated, but hey, everybody in their family has high cholesterol, so it's no big deal. So, and then what we're going to do after we get into the fundamentals of how do you begin to respond in a way that really improves the chance that they're going to consider healthy behaviors. Then we're going to actually break into small groups and apply what they've learned so that they can take some of it back home. But in addition to being able to work with patients, hopefully the principles will allow them to also interact with other healthcare professionals in order to collaborate on helping patients move forward.
That's wonderful. And entrepreneurs certainly could benefit from those skills that you'll be teaching.
Sure hope so. That's what we have found anyway.
I think it's definitely enhancing patient care, which is why people tend to make the leap from their secure salary to an entrepreneurial venture, is to enhance patient care. But when you think about being a business owner and being able to communicate your message and collaborate, find collaborators and help those collaborators understand why they want to partner, I think it's all the same skill set.
Well, it really is. And the other thing is we want to be able to have a message, whether it's to a patient or say a physician, that really says, you know, how can I help you solve problems that you may be having in your practice or with taking your medicine or lowering your blood pressure, you know, whatever the problem is. Motivational interviewing is basically aimed at helping people solve problems. And so, you know, that's why I think people will be able to take away a set of principles that will help them, you know, in and out of healthcare, to be honest.
Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's pertinent to any healthcare provider in any sort of setting that this is not something only used in certain types of practice settings.
No, and we're not just going to be focusing on taking medications. We'll be talking about other health behaviors, because obviously if you've got diabetes, you can't just take the medicine. You've got to be able to make some other lifestyle changes in order to effectively manage the illness. So we'll be talking about that. Not only that, I've been doing a lot of work with health plans, and they're becoming increasingly sensitive to star ratings and what this is going to mean in the future in terms of compensation. And so many people have this idea of communicating as common sense. And I always tell people there is no such thing as common sense. Common sense is learned behavior. It is common sense that we don't put our hand on a hot stove because we put our hand on a hot stove. And now we know we shouldn't. So we've got to teach these ways of talking to patients in a way that's non-threatening, in a way that increases the chance that the patient will want to engage. And only by doing that can we increase the chance of improving our star ratings also.
That makes great sense.
Yes.
So back us up a little bit. Although it feels like you've known this for forever, it's probably not where you started in your practice. What led you to becoming the leader nationally in this whole concept of motivational interviewing and making it practical for regular use?
Well, I started off, honestly, working in an independent pharmacy. That's what got me interested in pharmacy. I actually was a delivery boy and short order cook, and kind of watched what they were doing back there, and got interested in pharmacy, went to pharmacy school. But then when I graduated pharmacy school and started practicing, actually in a chain, I started learning very quickly that the relationship with the patient was everything.
Yeah.
And I decided to go back to school and study health psychology and health communication in order to learn how do you communicate and talk with the patient in a way that improves the probability that the patient's going to perceive the relationship with you as one of helpful and not threatening. A researcher several years ago, back in 1976, Bonnie Svarstad from the University of Wisconsin, did a huge study that looked at what are the predictors of adherence, and the number one predictor was the relationship the patient had with the healthcare professional, both positively and negatively.
Yeah.
And so that interested me, and it's fascinated me ever since. I learned about motivational interviewing probably my second year as an academic. And motivational interviewing was originally developed in the substance abuse area. It is still the most effective intervention today to prevent relapse into substance abuse. And I thought to myself, wow, if they can do this with substance abuse, high blood pressure doesn't seem so daunting, or high cholesterol or diabetes. So we moved it into healthcare, but we had to change it because we were no longer training psychologists, who the original developer was training. We're training healthcare people who have two unique situations. One, they often don't have the background in psychology, and two, they don't have an hour to spend with the patient week in and week out. And so we had to really change the approach to make it practical for healthcare.
Beautiful. I know I used to send faculty to your workshop and see their workbooks and what they came back with. And I know that you've changed it in so many ways since then. And the last time I heard you speak, it just makes sense now. And it's not easy, but much more doable to incorporate into your practice and your everyday conversations even.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that we did, which was simple but profound, we used to find that before, when we used all the acronyms, people didn't know what to listen for. What am I listening for? What is it that I should be paying attention to? And our approach really helps people focus on, again, how is the patient making sense? Whether it's about the illness, the drug, the relationship, and really teasing that out of the patient, because that's where everything comes from. How does this patient make sense? And it's the fact that they often make sense in a way that is using information that's incomplete or inaccurate that causes adherence problems.
That makes great sense.
Yeah, fascinating.
Yeah.
And I know 3 hours is not going to teach people everything they need to know, but I think it will give them great tools that they can walk away with, and an introduction to you, and opportunities to continue to study in this area and make it a more natural part of what they do.
And the handout material will also have resources if they want to learn more.
Okay, awesome.
Great.
Well, we're very much looking forward to seeing you in April. We appreciate you being willing to come and do this additional workshop. That's just going to add such value to folks that make their way to Cincinnati.
Well, I'm excited to be joining all of you, and this is kind of homecoming for me. I'm an Ohio boy. I grew up in Cleveland, and I'm an Ohio State grad 3 times. So I'm familiar. Yeah, I'm familiar with Cincinnati, and it's called the Queen City. It's a beautiful city.
Fantastic. Well, it will be a homecoming.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very good. All right. Well, we thank you for your time, and can't wait for people to register for your session. They're going to get so much out of it.
I look forward to it.
Yeah. Thanks, Bruce.
Thanks.